Hello and welcome back to a new video. A total new game, but not a game that you're not familiar with, I think, at these times. We are gonna look into Diablo 4 and I'm going to have like a short run through to how I've solved my building doing 1 to 100 in hardcore as a rogue.
Ja, jeg gleder meg til å møte deg også.
As a rogue. If you're wondering if I'm recommending you to play hardcore at this moment, the answer to that question is easy and it's no. If you, however, are like me and you kind of love the excitement of losing your character that you progressed X amount of hour on in just a flash of a moment, then sure, join in on the wagon of pain, agony, and yeah, wasting time, I guess. But we do it anyway because it's really fun. However, I also did this solo. I'm not sure why I did it solo, but it was fun until the last couple of levels, I think. The last couple of levels I was questioning my decision of why do I do this solo. It's a bit faster together with others, but the main reason to do it together with others is just preserving and yeah, communicating with others while you're doing absolute zero interest non-stop farming content. But anyways, the build and what I did. Many people fell in love with Puncture, as did I earlier on in both the closed and open beta, and it's super good ability, which is kind of like a quick ranged marksman ability, but I played a lot around with both Puncture and I ended up playing a lot of Blade Shift at the end of the beta as well, open beta. And this Blade Shift is kind of like a no-brainer to me when it comes to like hard content in hardcore, because you can move freely through enemies, and also if you look beyond it, it grants you movement speed, and beyond that even you can have either you can refresh by just running through them, or you can have like a huge non-physical resistance that you can have while Blade Shift is active. However, when I started leveling, I just went for these two in the beginning, went into Twisting Blades to return, and Advanced Twisting Blades. Advanced Twisting Blades has been nerfed twice. It was nerfed up towards the release, and it was nerfed like maybe a couple of days after the release. People found out like a cute non-CDR ultimate build, while you basically had the ultimate all the time. It didn't do a lot for my build though. My build was mainly around surviving and just killing elites and bosses to first and foremost survive the campaign. I played the campaign mostly on World Tier 1 because I just wanted to speed through it, and I did also see all the cutscenes. I didn't like speed level in that way. Anyways, Twisting Blades, all my points into Twisting Blades, and then we get into towards Agile at one point, I think. Yeah, there we go. Agility, Agility, I pick Dash because Dash is really good. Shadow Step, I see many people play Shadow Step, and because you get Unstoppable, you gain Unstoppable with Shadow Step. It's a really good escape ability, but I didn't really like how it played out, so I put all my points in Dash, 2 in Dash, because enemies damaged by Dash take more critical strike damage. This This got also nerfed with 5% after the release. We still put more points into Twisting Blades, and then we got down to Subterfuge. We're now at level 12. And mainly while you're leveling in World Taiwan, things are kinda easy. You're just running around a lot. So the first thing I picked up was Concealment, because you gain movement speed while you pop it. And it's also the same thing as Shadow Step. It makes you unstoppable. And I think Concealment might be one of the most busted buttons to have. But unfortunately, unlike Endgame Rogue, you don't have enough keybinds. But I might find room for it in some of the builds that I'm going to look into. But that would be endgame anyways. But I picked up this one. You can also go further into it and pick up for energy regen when you enter Concealment. You can get the guaranteed crit, or you can get more vulnerability. At this point you actually don't apply vulnerability. Usually you would apply vulnerability with puncture. I think at one point when I was leveling, I did go over to puncture just to have the vulnerability possibility. But I also think I went into some passive nodes there. You can go into exploit and then into malice if you have vulnerability. You can go into, I went into poison trap and dark shroud here. Poison trap because it's extremely strong with the CC, with the knockdown CC, so you're 2 points in here kind of quick. Was my, so this was my bar in the beginning. We had the generator, the spender, and the 4 buttons. We had the mobility, a defensive one with some kind of mobility. This is a huge defensive versus bosses at least, because the shrouds will kind of peel away versus trash, but versus a boss it's kind of huge that you have like a 40 DR on command. I think also, like the 2 next point, I went into mobility here, so I picked up this. Like you gain movement speed, because there's a lot of running in the beginning, and we are still 18, so we're not nowhere near the mount at this point. If you, however, feel squishy at this point, you can choose to go into sturdy and into siphoning strike. I think I went into these, both of these two, kind of early, just to have them. And I kind of didn't do anything in the Imbuement tree until later on, which we are going to see. I have some VOD footage. The ultimate, sadly, they are kind of like, they're kind of fun to play, I guess, but kind of lackluster, and I really enjoyed my Concealment. I think also at one point I had like Subterfuge +1 to my gear pieces, so I didn't really had to take this one. I could, like, for example, have the last point in more single target damage, or we could have it on the dash reset, or we could have something like more defense against non-physical. But the biggest thing I picked up here is 1 point in adrenaline rush immediately, and then 3 points into haste. I think haste might be the most busted one to pick up immediately, in my opinion, because it's exactly what you want. It's while you're above maximum energy, you gain movement speed, which most of the time when you're running between objectives or between packs, you're above in energy. And while you're below, or you gain the attack speed, which is most of the time when you're fighting people, right? You're emptying your energy, and then you gain attack speed to generate more. So it's perfect, in my opinion. Then I think I went something like at this point I had maybe one rank here, but at some point I dropped the concealment and had to go into poison imbuement. So poison imbuement, or I did shadow imbuement. One of the two was on the horizon at least. I think I went poison imbuement immediately actually, and I think I had puncture instead of blade shift at one point to apply the vulnerability. But I also think I had some vulnerability in my legendaries without saying it for certainty. But this was at least how I played it in the beginning, and I wanted to have the crit with poison imbuement skills, so you do more damage when you crit it. I also at one point had a lot of ranks to my poison trap, so I went into more damage on my poison trap. So it kind of like varies what kind of gear are you getting while you are leveling. However, I did stick to twisting blades. I didn't get any flurry legendaries that I was tempted to pick up. Or eluding is super huge in my opinion, because it's a lot of CC can happen in a chain on you, and oftentimes it happens in the chain because when you first get caught out, they kind of layer your CC on top of you, the elites. So in my opinion, Unstoppable is extremely good, and this one procs Unstoppable on demand when you drop below 35% HP. 35%. So you can either pot as soon as you get this to proc, or you can scroll of escape, which is a feature that you have in hardcore that I'm going to show you later on how it works. Then you have some optional ones. I really enjoy having the reliable defensive and offensive ones that really don't have a condition around them. For example, it's really good with the barrier on elite damage, but it's not in your control, right? You just randomly proc it every, I think it's 30 seconds when you hit an elite. So it's nothing like you can rely on. You just know that it buffers your HP every 30 seconds. So aspect of might is a big one for me that I would try to get my hands on kind of early. So that would make it that you want to go to Dark Ravine, you want to go to Halls of the Damned if you haven't been there, and you want to go to Caldera's Gate. And all of those like are convenient to pick up while during the campaign. During the rogue quest earlier on, you can go and pick up the eluding one, which is the Unstoppable gate in Caldera Gate, which is close to the Menestad, where you go and do the rogue quest at level 15. Then you have Dark Ravine, which is later on when you come to close to Ked Bardu in Dry Steppes, which is Dark Ravine is there. And we have what was the last name? Halls of the Damned. If you don't like, most likely Disobedience will drop for you. I'm guessing if it doesn't, you have to pick it up a hold of them. And not having Disobedience until you're in Keshistan is kind of troll. I'm not gonna lie. But then you try to play around the other ones that you get, right? Dark Ravine is like super easy to get earlier on. So yeah. The offensive ones, if you're unlucky, I was unlucky with Blade Dancer, which is the Twisting Blade one, which is super huge because you get the Twisting Blade to orbit around you, which is mainly the reason why you have Blade Shift, in my opinion, because you can go through the mobs instead of using dash and losing uptime on your orbit of the Twisting Blade. This one is in Skogland, which is over at this area. And as soon as I stepped into Skogland, I kind of like tried to map out where is this place, and just went for a trip actually, and got it. You can, however, wait it out a bit, because there's a quest tied to this, and I think I maybe actually waited. I think I combined this, yeah, because you kind of get kind of early. You do some quests in the beginning of I think it's close to Demon's Wake. So like in the beginning of this area, you kind of do some campaign quests, and I think you're about level 20 or something. And there's some kind of druid campaign quest that carries you over to this area, so you can do this dungeon and get the aspect. The biggest one for damage when you're doing Twisting Blade, for sure, because we were talking about imbuments earlier, and if you are going to go and use the imbuments also works so that when you stab the target, it applies to it, and when it drags out, it still applies, and when it orbits around you, you can actually see the blades are imbued with poison or shadow or cold, whatever you're using, and it still applies. So you can get kind of like a huge poison dot on the target for just sticking onto it all the time. And that's like, it's not like the main reason why you use Blade Shift, but it's one of the many reasons why Blade Shift is so good, because you can stick to the target and dodge everything without spending dash. Because going on to that, dash actually consumes your imbuments as well, so you don't want to dash when you have imbuments active. You want to kind of generate your combo points and use them. That's also one thing that I need to mention. I used Condemnation, which is a unique dagger that has a chance to give you 3 combo points, and I played combo points. If I recommend you play combo points, I'm not 100% sure if I should do that. But that's like, I think I was around 40 maybe, 40 or 50, and I got the dagger maybe 50 or later, I'm not really sure. But going further down the tree though, we have kind of gotten into some aspects. You're kind of stretching from 20 to 30, and then you're hitting 35, which is the big one. Do you want exposure, momentum, close quarter combat, precision, which is basically between marksman and if you play both, so if you want it with the Twisting Blade, you have to play puncture or one of the other marksmans. Victimize, which is playing around with the vulnerability, and exposure, which is the trap one, which basically is CC and reduce cooldown, so you kind of CC chain everything. And Rogue has some of their defense kind of built around, like, compare it to like a Frost Mage in World of Warcraft, which is like slow CCs, snares, daze, knockdowns. So you kind of play around by staggering the enemies at all times. I think many players played exposure, but I fell in love with momentum kind of quickly, and mainly, oh, just heard it. Many people played around exposure, but I mainly fell in love with momentum kind of quickly, because mainly it gives you so many good stats that are perfect for playing solo and hardcore. So you get like flat DR, you get energy regen, and you get movement speed. Energy regen is really good for me since I'm a combo point generating guy. I didn't play Inner Sight once, I don't. But basically this was what I was playing from 1 to 100. You can kind of put points where you want from now on. You can amplify. I think I went from Trap Mastery, which is critical strike chance, When poison trap or death trap are active, you get 12% increased critical chance against vulnerable or crowd control enemies for 4 seconds, which is super strong. At one point I went out of Dark Shroud and into Trap. At one point I went out of this into Double Imbuement. Double Imbuement because you can apply Shadow Imbuement. I applied Shadow Imbuement with Dash, so you get enemies to take more damage from your poisons. This was later on when I was just non-stop farming dungeons though. I also went Concealment, I went Caltrops. So you can kind of play around with it, but if you feel like you need Unstoppable, Concealment and Shadow Step are the biggest ones. If you feel that you want more damage, I think Shadow Imbue. So I ended up testing Cold Imbuement as well, and I think Cold Imbuement make you stagger the boss. You can see the boss here, the boss fight. So you can see the stagger bar on this boss actually ramps up really fast while I do this. And you can see the work of Puncture as well while doing the boss vulnerable all the time. And you can see I'm trying to just stick on the target at all time here. You can see my also my HP isn't moving. This is world tier 1, full on defense. You can see obedience is ticking down there, and I ended up staggering the boss, and it kind of died really fast. And it's super strong. I played around, and I also suggest that you do that. Play around with what you have when it comes to imbuements and see what you like. I have to say that though, even though I didn't mention it earlier, but cold imbuements, it might be one of the most satisfying noises that you have when you press it. So, and I've always been a fan of slowing and freezing opponents, so I might look into it in an endgame build. Anyways, jumping further into later levels, this is where we started to play more Blade Shift together with Poison Imbuement. This is just me doing, you can see on the, we actually have a big mob spawning here. It's kind of perfect. 3 combo points, Poison Imbuement, and then we have, you can see the orbit, and you can see the whole HP of the mob kind of rots away. This is also world tier 3. We kind of jump up in difficulty. This is the hardest difficulty I could do at the time. And the single target damage output on this build was absolutely insane. At this point I also used the Death Elixir, which I'm gonna show off afterwards. Oh, we kind of dropped kind of low here. Okay. Are we gonna die? Nah, but this I felt super safe, and I felt that it was super strong. We might actually, did I proc eluding here? No, I didn't. I didn't proc, so I didn't proc like super low. Basically, some gameplay of it, you can see momentum is the bubble, like the aura around you, which is like, it looks like a bubble, but it's leaves around you, so you can easily see when you have the stack of it. And also, like a cute feature they have is you can see down below at the combo points, gained maximum momentum bonus, gaining obedience, gaining attack speed. You can see what you're gaining, which I love about this game, that they apply this. If you're actually a player that's awake while playing, you can see what you're actually gaining, which is kind of huge, because sometimes you actually lose everything that you have as a conditional effect that makes you survive. So yeah, And I also played this bubble really early on because it's super nice to just have like a immunity, but sometimes might be super dangerous to play around with too much, because it suddenly disappears. Jumping into the game right now though, this is my rogue at this moment. We're just gonna take a quick peek of where we are at and what I'm looking at leveling. Jumping into the game now, I wanted to just summarize a bit about the hardcore experience. It's been super fun to play from 1 to 100, but also it's been super exciting and sometimes really dangerous as well. I had some huge issues trying to stream this game. I have some footage streaming it, but I ended up at least on the later levels to just cut it out completely. But the biggest suggestion I would give you is have some friends or a streamer up at any time on your mobile or on your iPad or whatever, if you have a second monitor, if you play hardcore, because that might be your biggest resource at seeing if the lag is coming or not. Because the biggest factor of dying in this game is things you can't control. I was really fortunate. I had a friend coming in saying that the whole party had dropped, so I teleported out of the instance, and like a couple of minutes afterwards I also disconnected, so I was safe for that moment. I also had streams open, so I foresaw some big world lag. I was stationed at a bar stool in Skogland for hours just waiting on the world to lag out and proceed. And yeah, that's basically some of the tips that I would give. And as I am from EU, I played on the launch, and my schedule is demon hours now, so I'm pretty lucky in that sense that I don't play on like super high peak hours. And if you're going to play hardcore, try to stay away from the login hours on Fridays, the high peak hours on Saturdays, and the Sunday hours. If you are playing and those are the only moments that you can play, just try to feel it out a bit and have some safety for your characters, because it is hardcore, and if you die to a bug or die to a lag or whatever, you're dead. That's they don't take precaution that way. Anyways, looking into the things that can save you and how you should use them. Elixir of Death Evasion is the proc elixir, which is super good, and I haven't bound it to any key because this one I just pre-pot anyway if I'm going to dangerous content. Curative Elixir is another one that's super good in my opinion. It makes you unstoppable for 1 second. And the biggest thing to have for Scroll of Escape. Scroll of Escape is bound to mouse 4 for me, because you need to not be CC'd to use Scroll of Escape. You can be CC'd to death if you don't have anything that can save you. So if you don't have Unstoppable that can save you, and that's why eluding is super good together with Scroll of Escape. And Scroll of Escape is basically, I can use it whenever, right? I can go, let's for instance say that it's a big bunch of mobs that I'm coming into here, and I'm getting chunked below like comfortable levels of HP. I can just press mouse 4 immediately and get back. It's instant. And if you're feeling a lag spike, you're on your horse and you're running around and you feel a lag spike. I did this a couple of times actually, running in the open world, and you feel a lag spike, you can instantly press Scroll of Escape on the mount as well. Scroll of Escape isn't super common. Let's see, I have a couple actually. so it's not like super hard to find. But that's basically it. Leveling, that can save you. Specialization, I mentioned this. Combo points is what I stick to because of the combination of condemnation and attack speed 1. This is kind of end game. I didn't get the Kanjar before. I think I have a sacred version of it, but I got it kind of late. Condemnation I got kind of quick entering Sacred Gearing, which is tier 3. Basically on gear though, I went for a lot of defense. My chest is kind of offensive right now though. Or offense layered. You can get more damage reduction, like damage reduction for ranged, for example, damage reduction to close, or all stat. You will see that to get your Paragon boards bonuses, you would like to get all stat kind of early on the pieces that you can have it. You want your best damage dealing aspect on your two-hander, which is Twisting Blade, because it amplifies 200% on your two-hander, and it amplifies 150 on your neck, 100% on the other parts. That's basically it. I'm not going to go too far in depth on everything. Stop by the stream if you're wondering on anything. This is mainly just like a starter if you're going into hardcore, and my experience with the build that I did. It was super efficient in what it was meant to do, and it did its job. I wasn't really in any danger at any point during the campaign. I had some upsies and some Scroll of Escape usage during some Nightmare Dungeon, and like the CC change that I was CC chains that I was talking about. But I feel that you can play around so much with your talents as a rogue, so you can kind of go into and away from. I can go away from this and go into concealment to have more safety in like the one button safety, vanish away from everything, and gain unstoppable. Anyways, I hope you like the run through. A lot of information. Try to compile it into one video. Kind of try to make it quick and made it understandable. Lastly, do I recommend playing hardcore at this moment? No. Again, no. But if you enjoy wasting time, living by the thrill of thinking that you can die at any moment without having any control over it, then please join me. It's extremely fun, and I think hardcore, I've been a hardcore gamer as long as I can remember now, because I really enjoy it. It's so satisfying doing all this achievement, and I'm going to be looking into trying to have some attempts on Lilith, doing bigger Nightmare Dungeons. I think the highest I've done is like 57, 8 or something. We also have world bosses that I'm going to be looking into. This channel, however, is going to take a turn into Diablo now though, so stay tuned, and sorry to the World of Warcraft enjoyers, but my YouTube channel is going to flood with different things that I do at a different time. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm live on the Twitch as well. If you have any suggestions, questions, or inquiries to me about the game or anything in general that relates to Diablo or hardcore, make sure to stop by or leave a comment. And as always, see you next time.